All right, boys, it's January 11th, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, and about an hour ago, Bill Belichick was fired from the New England Patriots. And as a Pats fan, this isn't like past time, like when Brady left. This was a lot more like everyone was talking about it. It seemed like it was kind of inevitable. But man, I didn't want it to happen. It seems so surreal. And it's tough not to blame him for the tough situation because it's like, yeah, the team in front of him is so ass. So it's like you can't blame him. But then it's like he's also the general manager, and that's like it gets tough in the last couple years. But at the same time, you got to remember that the Mac Jones decision, there's been guys like Rob Ninkovich, former Patriot, who have come out and said that was a Robert Kraft decision. That wasn't Bill Belichick's move. Now, how much would a former player really know? I don't know. But I find that interesting, especially because a major issue this past season was Mac Jones's development the last two seasons that have made Robert Kraft feel this need to let go. It's like the end of my childhood because my whole football life, I've only known Bill Belichick as the head coach of the Patriots, no matter what. Out of all the teams I follow, every team in the world, no team has had someone stick around for as long as Bill Belichick has. And I didn't think it was going to happen like this. I felt like even when Brady left, I felt like Belichick would have two quarterbacks if Mac Jones misses. He would get the chance to kind of have a second chance with a rookie quarterback because most coaches only get one shot. Once you draft that rookie first-round QB, they better hit, or you better do something quick to fix it, or you're going to be out of there. And I felt like with Belichick, he won 6 Super Bowls. You got to give him a second QB in case it ends up sucking. Now, a lot of it also on Mac Jones was the fact that he only had Juju Smith-Schuster and Hunter Henry as targets. Demario Douglas came onto the scene. He's been a nice little guy, but he's a 6th-round rookie. You can't expect a 6th-round rookie to play at some top-of-the-line level, But anyway, I also feel like, though, Belichick set this team up for almost like a second rebuild, but at the same time, the contracts lined up for it to be like this was going to be it for Belichick. It really seemed like at the beginning of the year, it was postseason or bust for Belichick because Robert Kraft all offseason was like, hey, we expect to be a playoff team. At minimum, this team should be a playoff team, especially with the history we've had here. But then all of a sudden, something interesting happened right before the season. It was going into the season. It's like, damn, New England has a hard schedule. I mean, opening with Philly, then Miami. You got Dallas in there. So many tough teams right off the bat, outside the Jets. Jets are a gimme week 3. But still, there's so much stuff going on. And then also Robert Kraft saying, we need to make the playoffs. That's what he always said. We need to be a playoff team. He then changed it and then it decided to change it up and say, you know what? We need to be competitive. We'll see what happens. This is a hard league to win in. That was like the last thing he said before the season really kicked in. He kind of left the playoff notion, which made me feel like Kraft understood this is not a good team. This is a rebuilding year. And because also the salary cap lined up with that, outside of the Devontae Parker extension, which was just so random and so undeserved, why Belichick felt the need to keep him around. Another reason why Belichick has clearly lost it, Miles Bryant is still on this fucking team. The worst corner in the NFL, and Belichick has been really good at getting corners still. He knows how to build a secondary better than anyone in the league still. But damn, I don't know what he sees in Miles Bryant. I just don't know. I don't get it. But either way, I mean, Juju, you can basically opt out of that contract with basically no penalty. You'll be paying him the same amount to be on the team anyway. You might as well clear him out. You can also go ahead. Kendrick Bourne is going to be off the books. That's another thing. This team has so many free agents, which was what I was basically alluding to. Hunter Henry, gone. Trent Brown, good fucking riddance to him. Kendrick Bourne should have been the wide receiver 1 last year. I don't know what happened to him. He was so good Max rookie year. He was so fucking good. And then all of a sudden, next season, when the whole DC, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, I mean, that was also like, You want to speed up your odds of getting fired, hire a defensive coordinator and a special teams coach, both of which sucked at it. The Patriots defense was worse than ever when Matt Patricia was at the helm of being that DC. I had never seen a worse Patriots defense in my life. But they got the chance to be OC, and that also killed Mac's confidence. Mac had no faith in them. And honestly, I get as being well, they're still NFL coaches. You got to listen to your coaches. You got to give them a chance. This is Bill Belichick at the end of the day you're listening to. And it's yeah, it is. It is. But, it's fair for him to be yo, what are we doing for my development? Now, granted, Patricia and Judge ended up doing a better job this year than Bill O'Brien did. But I felt the bridge had been burned already. Mac Jones should have left after this past season. I get wanting to give him another round and saying, hey, we're actually going to build something. But they didn't. They didn't get that wide receiver one still. DeAndre Hopkins was right. That was also the biggest fumble. And this is I think his name's Evan Rothschild. Fucking Rothschild. And then Matt Gareau. Whoever it was, I know it was Rothschild, the Evan guy, because he was the one that came out in the very first interview and was afterwards, and we were oh, we really like the receivers we have here. We got a good core of guys here. Who is on our team is comparable to DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins still put up numbers in fucking Tennessee this year with a mixed bag of shot Tannehill and a rookie Will Levis mayonnaise man. Mayonnaise man and Tannehill show DeAndre Hopkins still got it. What are we doing? But then we signed Zeke. As if we needed a running, we kind of did need a backup running back because Bill, who has actually been quite solid at acquiring running backs, at least solid running backs, never really getting superstar running backs, but always being able to get solid running backs. So then we got to go and we had the cap space for Hopkins. We could afford Hopkins. That's why it was we're going to get Hopkins because it was us or Tennessee. And at the beginning of the year, New England looked a little more appealing, helping Mac Jones because Mac Jones during preseason actually looked very solid. Not during preseason, during spring training and everything. I'll say that. He actually looked like a very solid QB with the numbers and everything. Bailey Zappi looked like ass. And the fact that at the end of the day, Bailey Zappi was even comparable to Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi is Brian Hoyer reincarnated with hair. That is what Bailey Zappi is. And he was getting better looks than Mac Jones by the end of the year. Which, deserved. Because Mac Jones sucked ass. He always stepped back. I don't know why. Who taught Mac Jones to throw off your back foot? And not lean into your throws? I was taught to always throw into it, turn the hip, get that good torque. Mac Jones does the opposite. He leans back and tries to go all arm and just sling it because he's too scared of getting touched. There's times where he actually has a clean pocket and he's still slinging it off his back foot. And I'm what the fuck are you doing, Mac Jones? Just atrocious. But yeah, this team, people have been comparing it to an expansion level team that Bill Belichick has put them in. And it's what was the plan? Bill Belichick had to have had a plan to rebuild this squad. Because again, he's the GM. He set this squad up to be entirely basically a brand new team after this season. Okay, let's take a look. I'll show you guys on the screen right now what we're looking like. So Mac Jones, he's signed up for 2024. He's going to get traded. He has to get traded. We cannot bring him back. That is an unacceptable move if he's brought back. Next is Bailey Zappi. Okay, Bailey Zappi, 2024, he signed up for. Then he's an RFA. Honestly, fuck it. He can, like I said, he is a perfect Brian Hoyer. He's a fine backup. I don't mind him. Running backs, we have Stevenson for 2024. Then he's gone. Especially with how running backs always are. They dip off. We can't give Stevenson a second contract. Not unless he takes a wicked team-friendly deal, but this isn't his Patriots anymore. It's going to probably be Mike Rabel. That's a whole nother topic we'll get into in a minute, is who's going to be Bill Belichick's successor. And it better be fucking Mike Rabel. Okay, it better be, and I'll get into that in a minute. JaMychal Hasty and Kevin Harris are still around. Who cares about that, honestly? Zeke's gone. Don't need him. So, Juju is signed up for 2024 and 2025. Okay? Which at first glance is ugh, you're stuck with Juju for 2 more years. But that is not really the contract that Belichick signed him to. If we see, there is an out after 2024 saying that, hey, in the very final year, there's like no dead cap. You can just cleanly cut him. The dead cap is 12 million. He's making 10 million this year. So if we're willing to, and when we're in a situation where we just have so much cap space, I'd honestly be willing to eat it just to get rid of him. I am willing to do that because I want a brand new receiving core. I am over all the guys Belichick has brought in. Like Belichick, the GM, in past years, especially on the offensive side of the ball. We'll get into the receiver bust in a minute too. Devontae Parker, same thing. He's signed up for 2 more years because Belichick gave him the worst extension I've ever seen. And he's also in a more similar boat. His dead cap this year is $6 million. He is making $6 million. He can be a clean cut. And this one, we're only going to be losing $400K. So Parker, get rid of him as well. We don't need him. Parker did at the end of the year start making a couple catches. And, you know, it was kind of said, at least around the building, at least in the media that I saw, that Devontae Parker was Bailey Zappi's number 1 guy. Whereas for Mac Jones, it was supposed to be Hunter Henry. But I don't know how that's possible when Hunter Henry had games where he had 0 fucking targets. So if Mac Jones' number 1 target is getting 0 targets, something's going wrong. Anyway, Tyquan Thornton, he's on a rookie deal. Fuck it. He can stick around. Sure, why not? Ride it out. Maybe he can actually get good. Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas, I am hyped for. Especially Demario Douglas. Now, I'm not saying he is going to be as good as AB, and I'm especially not saying he's going to get crazy like AB. But, man, he can weave. He can move. He's a nifty little fella, and he is good as fuck. So I'm so happy we got him locked up for 3 more years. Everyone else, I mean, Slater's retiring. Bourne's gone. Rager's gone, thank God. Trey Nixon, who cares about? TJ Luther, I don't even know who that guy was. Now, the O-line. This is another spot where Belichick, the GM, and whoever was in charge, whoever are the scouts, Matt Groh, the Evan guy, whoever was out here making this O-line this offseason, absolutely insane what they decided to do. So, center David Andrews, one of the very last few pieces from that OG squad that, well, not true OGs, but, you know, he was part of the squads that won. He's still locked up. He did his job. Fine with him. Cole Strange, good rookie. He had good second-year player. It was a bit of a reach. It seemed like we could have clearly gotten him later, but hey, he turned out to actually be a solid pick so far, and he has done his job. You know, I'd rather reach on a guy who turns out good than take a guy who's supposed to go and he turns out ass. You know, Antonio Mafi, he seemed like a very fine rookie. Honestly, he didn't do too bad. City South, same thing. He honestly did very fine as well. Trent Brown, god damn it, why did we bring him back? Okay, I get Belichick has always been a guy who, when he lets someone go, he brings them back when the other team lets them go because he knows he'll make them better again. But Trent Brown is a special case of Albert Hainsworth syndrome, where he doesn't care. And when you have someone who doesn't care, even when he gets a magical concussion and his headaches go away, the second he gets paid an extra $1 million or something, and even then he can't consistently practice and play because he's just lazy and just terrible. Like, he puts in no effort. Like, I get it, you're not on a good team, but god damn it, you got $1 million raise. You're supposed to be a difference maker on this O-line. And you weren't. You just weren't that guy. Other guys, Jake Andrews, whatever, backup center. Calvin Anderson fucking sucked. The tackles just suck on this team. I mean, Trent Brown, the guy I just ranted about, is our best tackle. Now, what does that tell you? Now, Trent Brown, he honestly is a fine tackle. Like, he's not a bad number 2 tackle. I feel like you can rock him at right tackle and be just fine if you're on a good team and he's actually in a mood to care. You know, maybe the money's not feeling the same, so he actually wants to win for once. Vidarian Lowe, he's a whatever tackle. And then Michael Onwenu, one of the few free agents that is getting shedded to create this like $80 million in cap space is Michael Onwenu. We have to bring him back. We can't Like, he is a true franchise guard. When, like, he can win a Super Bowl for you. That kind of franchise guard. He is a true stud. So we got to keep Michael Onwenu around. He's going to be demanding probably top of the line money, which I'm honestly fine with. We have the cap space. You got to keep Michael Onwenu. And now we get to where I have my real issues with this O-line. Okay. Now looking at this list, there's one name that is missing from this O-line list that you are looking at on the screen right now. And you want to know what that one name is? Riley Reiff. Now, why is Riley Reiff, a bust of a first-round pick, important? He is important for one big reason. He was supposed to be our starting tackle. Why? Whose idea was this? Whose idea was Riley Reiff, you're going to be good enough or healthy enough? He's had injury issues in the past, I believe, and he just couldn't do shit this year. And it's no shocker. No offense to Riley Reiff. You know, his time has come. He had an all right little time where he wasn't that bad of a tackle. He was an all right tackle. You can live with him. That ship has sailed a long time ago. That time has gone, and I don't know what we were thinking. Whose idea was Riley Reiff? Whose idea was to not try and go get a tackle elsewhere? Or, I don't know, in the draft. A tackle in the draft could have been nice instead of loading up on guards when we had Michael Onwenu. We didn't really need so many more guards. Now, did we? Now, defensively, well, let's actually talk about the tight ends real quick. Tight ends wise, we got no tight ends on this team. No tight ends are signed for this season. They're not even showing up on the thing. That's how few tight ends we have. They're not even listed as a position. Hunter Henry, I wouldn't mind bringing back if it's on a cheaper deal. Mike Gesicki, I don't really care about. They're both just whatever tight ends. They're not special. You know, I don't know if Belichick saw Hunter Henry and Gesicki and were like, they're white. They can be Gronk and Hernandez. But Hernandez wasn't white, but, you know, he's not black. So maybe that's what Belichick was thinking in that moment. I'm not too sure. But let's go ahead onto the defense. Because this is where Belichick, now, points-wise and defensive rankings, New England finished somewhere around mid. Now, take into consideration that they've probably had the most turnovers in the NFL, if not near the most. And the fact that they got stopped and they were getting 3 and out every goddamn series, which is also, Bill O'Brien's got to go. So this defense is better than the numbers rated. If you look at the defensive numbers from last year, that's more of what this defense is. So, Davin Gadchuk is still signed. I hope he gets cut. He's not that good. Belichick has kind of raved about him, but now that Belichick's gone, who cares? He has a dead cap of only $3.5 million, so we can afford to get rid of him. We'd be saving us damn near $9 million, so we might as well get rid of Davin Gadchuk. We got plenty of DTs. Christian Barmore, we got to get ready to extend him. He has turned into a phenomenal, ferocious guy. And that's the thing. People rip Belichick on his drafting. The last, 2 to 3 drafts, outside of, the Mac Jones disaster, he's actually picked pretty well. He's kind of found his footing again after a long stretch of losing it. Dietrich Wise you got here, and he's an all right DE. He's gone next year. We can keep him around, though. Lawrence Guy, he's a fine backup. He's a fine DT, too. Keon White, hopefully he takes a big step this next season, and he can become that other dominant defensive end for us. Because if not, we're going to need to find another DE. Linebacker-wise, Matt Judon signed for this next season. He's probably gone. You know, one of the few Belichick free agent signings from the 2021 free agency spending that really worked out. He stayed dominant for us. Jawan Bentley, the number 2 guy, or inside linebacker, he's a really good run stuffer. I fuck with Jawan Bentley. Jelani Tavai, he made a couple plays, not too special. Josh Uche, I'd love to bring Josh Uche back. He's a good disruptive player, but I don't know. His market demand might be too much for what we're willing to give. Anthony Jenkins, I loved him out of college. I had high hopes for the guy. Now, we're probably just going to let him go. You take a look at one name, and you're going to see, whoa, J.C. Jackson out of nowhere, massive contract. But we traded for him when all the injuries happened. He's going to be an out. There's no dead cap. He's going to be cut no matter what. There's no way J.C. Jackson comes back here. Jonathan Jones signed for 1 more year. He's a really good corner, but he is getting up there in age. I don't know if we'll end up re-signing him, but he is a really good corner. And when we had the really dominant corner trio last year of the Joneses, Jonathan Jones, Marcus Jones, and Jack Jones, damn, man, that was actually a legit scary secondary. And I thought it was going to be a secondary that was going to last. I really did. Jabril Peppers is a stud safety. I've loved him since college. I've always been a fan of him. I was so happy when we got him. And now it's like, fuck. I'm so sorry for him that he was on this team. Adrian Phillips, he's a fine backup safety. Christian Gonzalez looks like a stud. Christian Gonzalez is going to be a franchise corner. It really looked like that. It sucks that he got hurt. That's another thing when we talk about this season, truly, like game by game, what happened. Marte Mapu, he looked like a fine player. He's a nice little gadget player for us. I fuck with him. He has been a fine draft pick, all right. Marcus Jones, still a fine corner. Took a step back this year, but I'm still fine with him. Brennan Schuler made some sort of like all-pro team as some sort of like specialist, I think. So he actually had a really good year in his role. Jalen Mills, I want him gone. Eagles fans, I see them always raving about him and wanting him back in Philly. You can have him. I am over him. He's just not that athletic. And it's not like he's some insane like coverage guy or like is really good at reading the field. So I don't know why Belichick has continually brought this man back. Miles Bryant's UFA, thank God. Kyle Duggar, he's a stud. We need Kyle Duggar. We need to bring Kyle Duggar back. If we can bring him back, him and Peppers, together, they are easily, at minimum, a top 10 safety core in the league. Definitely better in my eyes, but, on the low end, top 10 for sure. Special teams, Cardona, Chad Ryland, Bryce Behringer. Chad Ryland, what a fucking shitty kick. He gifted us the 3rd overall pick, which, I appreciate him for, but, man, he can't kick for shit. Now, the one thing is Vinatieri couldn't kick for shit in the beginning, so it's like maybe he can turn it around. He signed for like 4 years, but at the same time, man, you can't expect much out of a guy who can only kick like 60%, I think, or some shit like that. Then dead cap, Devin McCourty, he's going to be making $6 million, but outside of that, there's no one really big. So, debriefing this season now. Okay, this season went in a very interesting light that I did not expect this team to do. I thought they'd be better than what they were. I didn't think Bill Belichick would ever have a team that was, that low, below 500. But when you really look at it, and just the QB performances that were put on display for this team. Game 1, you got the Eagles. And right away, disaster strikes Mac Jones with a couple picks. He fumbles. He fucking sucks. I think Stevenson might have had a fumble that game. And then we storm back second half, and it's like, okay, that second half team, if we see that second half team consistently, this is a good squad. We hung with the reigning champs. Week 2 in Miami, the same fucking shit happens, and it's like, okay, why did this just happen again? Then the Jets, it's like, okay, this is a gimme win. Then it's Dallas. It's like, okay, now we need to really show who we are. And we get kicked in our ass. We get blown out. And that was the beginning of the end. Right there. The second we got blown out to Dallas, man, you thought Dallas had just run through some teams before, so you thought, man, maybe they're just way red hot. And no, that was just the Patriots this season. New Orleans, same thing. All sort of turnovers. Mac Jones benched for the second time because the first time was in Dallas. That's right. We're already benching our starting QB 4 games into the year because he can't stop turning the ball over. He's throwing from one side of the field to the other. And he's lobbing it. He's got no zip. When Bailey Zappi is being called zip on the ball zappy, zippity zappy, because his ball is just a little tighter and can actually get to a receiver in less than an hour. Like, Bailey Zappi has the most, average QB arm in the NFL. Mac Jones has one of the worst. And Mac Jones, he's been raving about he's putting on all this muscle. He's gaining weight. He's working out. He's getting stronger. It's not, well, change your form then. Change your release, because clearly it is not helping. Gaining all this weight and muscle is doing fuck all for you. Then we got the Saints 34-0 loss. I mean, fucking not even anything to say. Then you got the Raiders. The Raiders are a dysfunctional fuck fest, because Josh McDaniels can't make a guy happy. Okay, he is the biggest, most annoying prick, it seems, especially with the airing of grievance meeting, just going, McDaniels, we fucking hate you. You are the worst human imaginable. But you do know a bit of ball with the X's and O's, according to Patriots players. And we lose to them. Unbelievable. Then you got Mac Jones's resurrection game. How the hell did Mac Jones go for 25 for 30 with 2 tutties? Mac Jones saved his own career for like 3 more weeks with this one game, because he balled the fuck out and he actually cleanly took out Buffalo. And it was like, holy shit, this is the Mac Jones we expected. And he played a clean game. He didn't have a bad start for once. And it was like, here we go. Maybe he finally found it. Then the Patriots go against Miami in Miami. I was actually at this game, and I can say from watching it live, it seemed like I was waiting for Mac Jones to fuck up. It was more of like an when, not an if. Okay, this was actually and then he made the mistake. Then he finally made the mistake and is like, there he is, throwing the picks, just lobbing it up. He just lobs it up. It is actually insane. I don't think he can throw a tight spiral. I saw Brady play. I've seen all these QBs play. And Mac Jones can't throw a straight dart. It always needs to have some air on it. Washington, New England. Washington somehow beat us. I mean, I don't even know what to say about these next few games, because at the beginning of the year, this is when it really went from like, okay, like worst comes to worst, this is what's going to happen. The Saints and Raiders, they should have been wins. But at the end of the day, it was like, whatever. We'll have a stretch where we're going to win. And if this was the Patriots team of last year, the Patriots team of 2021, if this was any Patriots team in Belichick's tenure, they go on a massive winning streak here. They lose to Washington 20-17, should have been a win. They lose to the Colts in Germany 10-6. Mac Jones sucks ass. Bailey Zappi throws a fake spike pick. Then you got a 10-7 loss against New York. Should have been a win. You got a 6-0 loss to the Chargers. The Chargers. You let the Chargers, with one of the worst defenses in the NFL, shut you out. And we're blaming Bill Belichick, the coach? Give him some help in the front office. Bailey Zappi couldn't throw a fucking ball. He went 13 for 25, 50%, and people were talking about it like he just fucking was the second coming of Tom Brady, because it's not Mac Jones. It's just an unbelievable. And then you got the Steelers win on Thursday night. That was our Super Bowl this year. Every bad team has a Super Bowl. That was our Super Bowl on Thursday night. Then the Chiefs kick our ass as expected. The Broncos we beat, because Russell Wilson and that dysfunction of a Broncos team. The Bills kick our ass 27-21 as they are on their hot streak to get into the offs. And then to end Belichick's tenure, it's the fucking Jets. That's some NFL scriptwriter shit that the Jets ended Belichick's tenure. The man who he left the Jets to come here, and then he loses to them to end his career here. Unbelievable. So next, let's go over Belichick's kind of mistakes and how we got here. Even like I said with the recent good drafting, this is what it comes down to. 2010, he's still hitting. Aaron Hernandez, Brandon Spikes, Rob Gronkowski, Devin McCourty, all 2010 picks, okay? 2011, we get into it. You got Nate Solder, Shane Vereen, Stephen Ridley, Marcus Cannon that come out of that draft that are good. Okay, you're still hitting. 2012, you're still hitting. You have Hightower and Chandler Jones with the 2 first-round picks. You hit on both of them. So you don't hit on your later picks, but you do hit on the important firsts. 2013 now, you don't have a first-round pick, but it doesn't matter. You make up for it with your second-round pick and Jamie Collins. But this is where it gets scary and it gets interesting on the offensive side of the ball where he couldn't get a wide receiver to save his life. Aaron Dobson, second round out of Marshall. Bust. He ends up getting waived. And I was never really a fan for him. Honestly, there was a really good undrafted guy, Kenbrell Tompkins, who made that historic touchdown against the Saints. He honestly looked all right, but he was gone quite quickly. 2014, who do you look to get? Well, you get Jimmy Garoppolo. He's an all right QB. He's done some things. He has an injury issue, though. And you get James White. You can still hit on a running back. Good. Cameron Fleming at tackle. What are you doing with Cameron Fleming? At best, he was an all right backup, I guess. But he's a fourth-round pick. Doesn't really matter. 2015, Malcolm Brown. Hey, he won some Super Bowls. So he was a fine first-round pick. He did his job as DT. Then after that, what happened? You get Shaq Mason in the fourth round, though. That is a huge pick. So you can still get a guard, but you don't really hit on anything else. So we're still seeing, you get an occasional hit. 2016 is when it really starts. 2016 is when this shit starts to go to shit. So the last few drafts, from hitting on nearly every pick in 2010, 2011, 09, now you're hitting 20 to 30%, 40% if you're lucky of the time. And then 2016 comes around. You hit on Joe Thuney in the third round. No one's denying that. He's one of, if not the highest paid guards in the NFL right now. But Cyrus Jones in the second round. Jacoby Brissett. Okay, he's bounced around. He's been all right. Malcolm Mitchell was a good receiver. He just got hurt. But it's starting to be like, okay, we see a little bit of a drop-off. Is Joe Thuney one guy and a guy who was good till he got hurt? Too much. 2017, we have no draft picks because of Deflategate, and we don't hit on the picks we do have. We did take Dietrich Wise, and he has been he's been an all right guy for us, but still nothing too special. Then we go up to 2018. Sony Michel, he's a Super Bowl hero. He is a Super Bowl hero. But there's guys like Nick Chubb. So how much can you really congrats Sony Michel? There is Jawan Bentley. That's a good pick in 2018. So again, you hit on one guy, and one guy just happened to be a running back in a Super Bowl. And Isaiah Wynn is a huge bust of a tackle. Injury prone, couldn't stay healthy, and sucked. Next guy we go up to 2019 now. N'Keal Harry. What was N'Keal Harry? He was a brick. He couldn't catch. His best thing, what he excelled at was blocking. We got a guy who excelled at blocking to be our wide receiver to catch a football. What are we doing? Then you got Joe Juan Williams at corner. Don't even know who that is. Chase Winovich. He was good for half a season, and he sucked. Damian Harris. He was actually an all right back, but he's kind of fallen off, going to Buffalo. Jared Stidham, he's just bounced around as a guy who plays whenever someone's going to get their injury guaranteed removed. Then 2020, we traded our first round pick in 2020 for a second and a third. We get Kyle Duggar and Josh Uche. All of a sudden, man, is Belichick hitting again. Duggar and Uche, he can still draft defense, clearly. Then Anthony Jenkins, I liked, so I don't blame him. Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keene, what are we doing? They had a combined 2 catches. The 2 offensive guys we draft, they suck. Michael Wenu, we get in the 6th round, he's a hit. So we can still get guards. He has no problem getting guards, but he can't get a fucking offensive man to save his life. And tackle, Justin Herron, another bust. He can only draft guards all of a sudden. The only offensive position he's drafted successfully is guards and a couple of mid running backs, okay? Let's keep going. 2021, let's see if that trend continues. Mac Jones, we've talked plenty of him. Mr. Turnover, Mr. Interception, Mr. Throw off the back foot, Mr. Sounds like I'm about to cry because I'm a pussy. Second round, Christian Barmore, stud. He can draft. Third round is just gone, so I guess he's a bust. Ronnie Perkins, who the fuck cares about him? And then you got running back Ramondre Stevenson. He was a clear hit. He can get a running back. Connor McGrone, who cares? Bledsoe is a miss. Will Sherman tackle. And he tries to get a 7th round receiver, Trey Nixon. And That doesn't work. 2022. Cole Strange, guard. He knows what he's doing when he's drafting guards. Tyquan Thornton, receiver, bust. Marcus Jones, good corner. Jack Jones, good corner. Too bad he had to be released because he didn't like losing and he was a nuisance. Pierce Strong, traded because he's a bust. Zappy, bust. Kevin Harris, not good, but he's still on the team. Sam Roberts, Jason Hines, who? Andrew Stuber, who? And then you got this past draft. Christian Gonzalez. Stud, but he got hurt. We're about to mention the injuries in a second. Keon White, second round, 2023. He looks all right. Hopefully he can improve. Marte Mapu, he looked all right, not too shabby. Jake Andrews, backup center, didn't see him do too much. Chad Ryland, fourth round on a kicker when we need receiver. Fourth round on a kicker when we need fucking receiver. What are we fucking doing? And he's not even good. Why'd we take a kicker? At that point, at least take a running back. You needed running back. Then you got City Sound, Antonio Mafi, more guards. I'm sure they'll be fine because Belichick knows how to draft a guard. And they played all right when they did play, but the O-line still collapsed quite a bit. But we dealt with a lot of injuries and moving parts. Kayshon Boutte, wide receiver. He barely played. He got put in Belichick's doghouse for not making a toe drag catch against the Eagles. Brian Behringer, fine puncher. Demario Douglas, stud. We've talked about him. He's an actual diamond in the rough that Belichick's found. Which, it's a miracle that after all these receivers of not being able to find anyone, he found a 6th-round Demario Douglas. Amir Speed, he was a fine special teamer. And Isaiah Bold and whatever. So as you can see, the drafting on the offensive side of the ball, outside of the guard position, it's fallen off completely. What are they doing? Just what are they doing when they draft offense? And it's even clear sometimes. And bro, when A.J. Brown said he wanted to be a Patriot, oh my God, I was pissed because that's N'Keal Harry. N'Keal Harry or A.J. Brown, they went with N'Keal Harry. What the fuck are we doing? So now the injuries though this year, all those losses happened. Okay, the losses all happened, and we didn't deserve to be winning. And I'm glad we lost because I've always said if you're going to be bad, bottom out and get a top pick. Be bad and bottom out. You don't want to be 6, 7, 5. 5 you could, but 6, 7, 8, 9, you want to be bad. You don't want to be 6 and 10, 7 and 10, But the injuries, Matthew Judon going down for the year. Christian Gonzalez going down for the year. O-line. We've had so many injuries, week in, week out, injury after injury. It's God damn, couldn't catch a break. Defensively, we were losing guys all the time. Now I know every team deals with injuries. And, our best player shouldn't be a rookie corner. And Matt Judon, he's actually a really good player and it's tough to lose him. But the O-line injuries and the no depth on the O-line when we did have injuries. But that's something Belichick's always had concern for. Think back to those early 2010 squads. He had starting caliber tackles as his backups. Now, granted, he drafted those tackles. So, if he could hit on drafting a tackle, he wouldn't have been in this situation in the first place, I guess. Which then it goes back to that. He couldn't draft certain positions. By the end of his career, he lost the touch for certain positions. And two of those positions just happened to be so integral that it fucked him. And it's wide receiver and O-line. Because he wasn't willing to ever really spend for a big money tackle ever. And he wasn't ever really willing to spend for a big money receiver. He always felt like you could draft those and they come in a dime and a dozen and they come in plenty. But clearly he still couldn't hit on them. And he sucked. So guys, where do the Patriots go from here? Honestly, they can go in any direction they damn near want. They're, people have said and I've said earlier, they're basically an expansion level team. You're going to have all the quarterbacks except for maybe Bailey Zappi at a backup is gone. You have one backup quarterback. Running back, you have a starting running back and a couple third, fourth stringers. You need a backup running back. Could use a fullback too. Receivers, cut Parker, cut Juju. If you're going to keep one, it better be fucking, I guess Parker, honestly, at this point. Keep Parker. Thornton, he can stick around. Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas. Go get a real receiver in FA. Go get Mike Evans. I don't want to see the same old Patriots. I want us to be like the mid-2000s Patriots getting Randy Moss. I want us to go get Mike Evans and really get a guy for our new rookie QB. Because I'm sure we're probably going to get a rookie QB unless we go tackle. Which, speaking of, we need a new tackle. We need both new tackles, honestly. Keep Michael Wenu, keep the guards Cole Strange. Just get brand new tackles however you got to. D-line, if Keon White doesn't progress, we need a defensive end. DT, we're honestly set at. D-line, Belichick has assembled pretty well. Linebacker, if you keep the same core, you're doing pretty well. Secondary, if you keep a pretty similar core, you're doing pretty well. You just need to build a brand new offense. And man, I'm worried for the future. My childhood's over, but I'm excited for it at the same time. I am excited for it. I'm sure, I'm grateful. I'm extremely grateful because I know no matter what happens, it's not going to be this run. It's not going to be Brady Belichick for 20 years. And I just want to say thank you for Belichick for creating the greatest dynasty of all time. And thanking God that I was put in a time to be a part of it and put in a place to root for it, because there was nothing like it. It was truly the world against us, with all of the controversy, all the hatred towards the evil empire. Like, that's how we're called the evil empire. That's how much us against the world it was. And 6 Super Bowls, that 10-year gap trying to get one, the Giants screwing over some of the best regular seasons. Just want to read off a couple accomplishments to really reminisce, okay? 7 times out of the 24 years. We could just go 20 years because none of these times are going to happen, with the Mac Jones era. 7 times did this dynasty have the best point differential in the NFL. 6 times they had the best regular season in the NFL. 6 times they won the Super Bowl. 3 times they had the best defensive team by statistics. 3 times they had the best offensive statistics in the NFL. They made it to the Super Bowl another 3 times. Think about that. On a 20-year run, they made the Super Bowl on average every other year. For 20 years in a salary cap era where there's more stats, more knowledge than ever before about the sport, and everyone is looking for that competitive advantage, and you dominated everyone with handicaps, basically. Everyone. That is insane to me. Especially the fact that in the salary cap era, when you couldn't just keep the same guys year after year and you had to make moves and you had to know which guys were more crucial than others, they made a record 8 straight AFC titles. Now, yes, I do know that the Chiefs are not well on their way, because they're not going to get it this year. But Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid could do something with the Chiefs. But honestly, it's not the same. The Patriots, the timing of the Patriots dynasty and the drafting of the Patriots by Bill Belichick in those early 2000s, getting guys that could lean into a new generation. Like I was reading off the 2010 set, Hightower, Chung, Mayo, Spikes. You had Merriweather was around for a little bit before coming and going to Washington. Offensively, Edelman. You could always get weird vets. Deion Branch drafting him back in the day and bringing him back in 2011 for a Super Bowl run. You had Chad Ochocinco, Chad Johnson on the squad. Gronk. I've already said Edelman. Honestly, the white trio, it was a meme about them being Walmart boys. But man, Amendola, Hogan, and Edelman was a hell of a trio. When it was being assembled early on, when we let Welker walk, and we were saying we're gonna get Amendola on a cheap deal and rock with with Edelman, I was like, what the fuck are we doing? But it worked out. It fucking worked out. And then you also gotta have the wicked early guys like, the early part of the dynasty, Troy Brown, Willie McGinnis, Teddy Bruschi, Mike Rabel, who, baby, come home, Mike Rabel. When we're talking about what do the Patriots do from here, I'm saying this. Mike Rabel, bring him in. I know we got Mayo in the system, and it's like, yo, just go to the predecessor. No. Mayo is just going to keep the guys around, and it's going to be the same old Patriots with Bill Belichick out. if we're letting Belichick go, we have all this cap space. I want a true turnover. I want a new leaf. I want new jerseys, new coaches. Let Rabel bring in his OC. Let Rabel bring in his scouts. Get rid of Matt Groh. Get rid of the Evan guy. Get rid of everyone. Get rid of the scouts. Let Mike Rabel be the man. Clearly, the guys that have taken over since the old realm of Dante Scarnecchia, Adam Ernie, those guys who really built this team alongside Belichick, now that those brain geniuses have retired, or even the young bucks like Nick Caserio off in Houston doing his thing, these new guys, we've just had such a brain drain that Rabel's going to need to bring in guys that have their own brains and cannot be who we have in charge right now. That's another thing. Do we get an actual GM? Because I've never experienced life with a GM, man. It seems a little scary, I'm not going to lie. But we need to rock with Rabel. We need to rock with Rabel. He's a stud, and he knows what it takes to win, and he wants to win. He didn't want to get rid of A.J. Brown. He didn't want to get rid of Kevin Byard. He didn't want to get rid of Taylor Lewan. He knew some guys you just got to keep around and win with. And I think he's going to do a great job here. I think we're going to be... it's only up from here. It does not get worse from here. It might get worse. But with all this cap space, it better not get worse. In total, though, Belichick, 266 and 121 as a Patriots coach. Now, this is another argument I hate. When people say, oh, how much credit should Belichick have? And they gave Belichick, like Skip Bayless giving Belichick like 30%. I don't want to hear it. Okay, Brady can get his nice little 33%. He should get a third of the credit for helping this offense stay so dominant. But we can't forget, Josh McDaniels truly is a good X's and O's guy. He knows how to draw up game plans at the end of the day. We saw how much of a brain drain that was when he left New England and we rocked with Patricia, Joe Judge, Bill O'Brien. We've seen what that has done. But Belichick built this team. He built it. He drafted Brady. He didn't draft all the guys from that 01 team, obviously, because he came in 2000. But he's part of that Bill Parcells tree that did get the guys here because he was an assistant here. And then the guys he drafted here, like Deion Branch, he's drafted wide receiver ones. He drafted Deion Branch. He's drafted Richard Seymour. He brought in Rodney Harrison to this Pats team. He drafted all of these studs, all the players I've said in those drafts I've already mentioned. Not to mention knowing to go get this special teamer in Miami, bringing in Wes Welker to form the greatest offense in NFL history at the time. That 07 team was insane. Creating a team that goes 16-0 in a regular season, never done since. And it never will be done. That's the craziest part. It never will be done because now the games have gone up. It's never going to go down. So the fact that he had the only 16-0 season. Yeah, they didn't win that Super Bowl, but the only 16-0 season ever. 30-12 in the playoffs. 30-12 in the playoffs. It's just miraculous. Belichick built those teams. I always give Belichick 70% because he built everything. He was the GM. He was practically the owner for a time. Kraft said, you do you. You know what you're doing. He made every decision, and every decision damn near was right. Knowing when to let guys go. Knowing when to bring in a guy on a cheap veteran deal. Getting guys like Darrelle Revis, Brandon Browner, loading up. Getting Stephon Gilmore. Really loading up when he had to. He tried loading up at receiver, trading for Mohamed Sanu. That was a terrible trade. But still, man, at the end of the day, like I've said, childhood's over, an era's over. I'm nervous for the future. I'm grateful for what happened. It was a time to be alive. And I am forever thankful for what Belichick has done for me, the land, all of New England, all the fans. We couldn't have been happier with what he did. He is the greatest NFL coach of all time. I hope he goes to the Chargers, wins a Super Bowl with them, and breaks that win record. Because I feel like a lot of people have been disrespecting him since Brady has retired. And I hope Robert Kraft, I hope Robert Kraft made the right decision for the team, kind of like Jerry Jones did with letting Tom Landry go. Sometimes there is just a time you got to move on. And I'm hoping that he's right. And I'm hoping that we make the right move to kind of get back into contention again. So, yeah. See ya. Thank you for everything.